Hello one and all, welcome back to the Player Podium. I'm your host Alfie. I'm a little bit ill, got a bit of a bunged up nose, but we're here anyway. Here are the rules for those of you who are new, or yeah, here they are. Up to 3 players per team get rewarded points based on individual performance. Best player receives 3 points unless you've had less than 3 outstanding players where your best player can receive 2 or 1 points. And if you're really shit, you can get nothing. Each week, one player is awarded Player of the Week, and I'll keep that tally going for the rest of the season to work out who's been that level above consistently across the season, and players accumulate these points each game week and are placed onto a leaderboard. Again, at the end of the season, we'll find out who's been the best and who's been disappointing. This is the lay of the land after last week. The outstanding players clearly so far: Semenyo, Pedro and Grealish, with Reinders, Timber and Grealish being that level of outstanding in their particular game week. Straight into the Saturday 12:30 kick-off, it's Arsenal-Nottingham Forest, and I mean you can already see I've given Forest no players with points this week. They were really poor. They were really poor. It does beg the question why Andrew's brought in, because it's a big game. To throw him in Arsenal away, first game that he's in charge for, I think was a bit, there's much easier challenges out there, and Arsenal just did what they do. It was a great performance from Arsenal, and got the 3 points, and Forest can cause problems, so it's big for Arsenal to get points in these games where other teams might slip up if Ange beds in his system and their players start playing well. Giving Madueke 1 point, I was very critical of the price tag that they brought him in for, less so the signing. I didn't think 55 million was a worthy fee for him at all. I thought he was a £35 million player at the max, but I mean he started quite well. Can't be denied. He had a really good performance against Forest. He was really dynamic, really quick with the ball, caused them a lot of problems. And I said when he was signed, I thought he would be a decent backup to Saka. I thought the money was a little bit much, but if he plays like this every time he plays, then I think the 55 million will be worth it in the end. Second, I've gone Eze. Arsenal just looks so much better when he's on the pitch. He's been a really good signing for them so far, and I think he's going to continue performing at that level for Arsenal this season. He brings that bit of creative spark that Odegaard doesn't bring consistently enough, and that they severely lack on the left wing. So I think when Odegaard jumps back into starting 11, he'll link up well with Eze to be creating a lot of chances for Gyökeres. I think this could be a really dangerous Arsenal team if Eze keeps on playing the way he does. And the 3 points against Zubimendi is 2 really well taken goals. The volley was lovely on the edge of the box, and as an all-round he just marshalled the midfield really well. I thought, when they signed him, another midfielder, obviously he's a great player, but they've got a lot of midfield depth, but no, he's been great so far, and this is a classic Arteta defensive kind of playmaker signing that is going to do really well under his tutelage and under his system. Moving on to the Bournemouth-Brighton game, this had 2-1 written all over its face. I put my Super 6 2-1 for this game, and I wasn't surprised by the result at all. I think but I don't know what they say. Vitality Stadium is going to be a difficult place to go this season, and these are 2 teams that are fairly evenly matched. I think Bournemouth do slightly edge Brighton out, but it's not a shameful result to say the least for Brighton, especially when Bournemouth have got players performing in the way that they have. I'm giving Evan Nilsson 1 point for Bournemouth. I love Evan Nilsson as a striker. I think his dynamism and his movement off the ball is really good. Even when he doesn't score, like he didn't score in this game, I think off the ball what he brings really helps Bournemouth out. He runs a lot, he's a hard-working striker, and he's got a good shot on him and can score the goals, but especially when he doesn't score goals, he's not like a Haaland type of player who, if he doesn't score, he will go missing quite a bit, but when he doesn't score, he is still influencing the game quite a lot, and I'll give him the point in this game because I thought his off-the-ball movement was really good, dropped deep quite a bit, helped link up the play, and I think he's really going to help Bournemouth this season. Giving Alex Scott the 2 points. His first goal since 2023, I think, something ridiculous like that. But yeah, he's a really good talent, Alex Scott is, and his goal was very well taken indeed. I think there's games sometimes he can be a bit inconsistent, but again that will come with age. I think as he gets older, as he plays a lot more consistently, which I think he probably should under Iriola now, I think he'll start to become really good, and this is the good positive sign that there's performances in him, and he needs to continue this forward now. It's not surprising at this point, but Semenyo's got the 3 points, a really nice assist, really good, well taken penalty, and just all round he's just that step above for Bournemouth. It's surprising almost how good he's been, considering he only started to really come into form. I think he started to hit a purple patch at some point last season, but he's just elevated himself on a different level, and he is by far and away the best player in that Cherries team at the moment. And if players like Madueke are going for 50 million, I was nice about Madueke earlier, but I think Semenyo he's better than Madueke. So if Madueke is going for 50 million, and Bournemouth with their selling nature, I think there's a big price tag on Semenyo this winter even and this summer. Giving Joel Veltman the point for Brighton, I never really rated Veltman that much. He was always a very average, solid player, but I think he was decent in the game against Bournemouth. I think going forward down the right, he was all right. He helped Minter out quite a bit, and those two worked together quite well. And I think he had an underrated performance in that game. I haven't seen too many people talking about Veltman. Obviously, all of the plaudits are on Semenyo or on Bournemouth. That's they rightfully should be, but that doesn't mean we can't shine some light on the quietly well performing players like Veltman in that game. 2 points are given to Matoma. He doesn't score a lot of headers, but to have that versatility in him to be able to score those different kind of goals is really useful for Bournemouth. Not Bournemouth, for Brighton. And I like Matoma a lot as a football player, and he deserves 2 points, I think, in that game. For the 3 points, I'm giving it to Yankuba Minter. Newcastle fans were pretty sad to see him leave last season, and each week he keeps on proving why that is the case. He's a really, really tidy little winger, and he got his lovely ball into Matoma for the assist, and all round just caused Bournemouth quite a lot of problems on that right flank. Palace 0, Sunderland 0. You can see I'm not giving Palace a player with 3 points because this is the game for them that they really should be winning. Sunderland at home, especially early on in the season, you've got to be picking up these kind of points if you are Palace. These are the kind of games that you'll be looking at winning if you want to progress up the table and end up in European football this season, which is, should be the aim for Palace, because they've been in that 12th position and floundering in mid-table for a little bit. They've just won the cup. They've made some really, really neat signings this season. So a 0-0 against Sunderland, obviously it's not the worst result in the world. Sunderland are a gritty team. They're not going to be easy to beat. But you would have pinpointed this game at the start of the season as a Palace fan, being like, yeah, this is easy 3 points for us. For Palace, I've gone Will Hughes to score a point. I really like Will Hughes. I think Will Hughes is a really solid little player. He's kind of he's obviously not the best midfielder in the world, but he's that kind of player that your team needs. Because for all the Eze's in the world, for all the Elise's, you've got to have players like Hughes that are willing to do the gritty, dirty work in midfield, which Hughes does well. And it was quite an even battle in midfield. I think the players in there played quite well. Palace just lacked that quality up front just to get that goal. But yeah, it's a good performance from Hughes, and he gets the point. Giving Daniel Munoz the 2 points. From what I can see in that game, a lot of the forward thrust came from Munoz overlapping on that right flank, and that is the case of Palace. I really, really rate Munoz. I've liked him for a while now. Obviously not like Percy, I don't know the bloke, but I really like the guy as a footballer. I think he's a really tidy right back, and Palace did a great little bit of business. He was an unknown entity when he joined, but week in, week out, he puts in a real shift on that right flank. He's solid defensively, but he was also going forward is where he sparkles, and on another day he could have got an assist, I think. Giving Mukiele 1 point for Sunderland is a really good signing, honestly. The pull that Sunderland have this window, signing players from Leverkusen and PSG. Imagine living in Paris and then being told you're going to go live in Sunderland, you'd be fuming. But Mukiele, really good start to his Sunderland career. And these are kind of signings like him, like Xhaka, that are going to keep Sunderland up, I think, this year. And Mukiele was a really defensively solid shift from him, and as it was overall for Sunderland, so he deserves the point. Jack has got the 2 points. He's just, again, really solid in midfield. It's just, you hate to see Granit Xhaka on the opposition team sheet because you know it's going to be a difficult game. He won't give you a second. He'll keep the energy up all game. He's that leader presence that, you wondered if Sunderland actually had going into this season, because, not a lot of players in there with Premier League experience, but this is the guy that, he's got the captain's armband, rightfully so, and it was a great performance from him against Crystal Palace. For me, it's undeniably the best player, I think, in the game was Robin Roths. He's a really, really good few saves that he made, and I think you can pin the reason on him. He's the guy that kept Sunderland in the game. The defensively were solid, but you know you're not going to be solid forever. And when you need to call in your keeper into action, having someone like Rose in there that you know is going to give you a solid shift, like he did in that game and like he did against forget who it was. It was before the international break, so it feels like ages ago. But yeah, Rose was started really well. I don't want to talk about this game. It's just it's so disheartening watching Villa at the moment because it's like defensively we're fine, but we're so drab. We're so creatively flat. It's like watching Stoke or prime Arsenal under Arteta. But yeah, we struggled going forward as we tend to this season. It's not anything new at this point, but yeah, Everton ran the show. They were really putting the pressure on us, and yeah, it's weird talking about Villa in a negative light because we haven't had to do that for a while. But I don't know. He's got to sort things out. He's had an international break. I thought good performance from Rodgers against Slovenia. Or was it certain at Serbia? I thought good performance against Serbia would gene back into form, but it just doesn't seem to have. And the teams we started McGinn and Digne and Bogard and these kind of players. Like obviously, I'm not trying to put shade on Bogard. As you've seen him, and he's actually on the leaderboard today. But when you start Bogard, it forces McGinn out wide. It just isn't something we want to do. Again, McGinn didn't have any influence going forward, so it's just drab, it's just flat. But fair play to Everton, they were much a better team. On another day they could have had 3 or 4 goals, and I thought Grealish was a shoe-in to get a goal or assist against us because against his old club. But no, a defensively solid performance and heroics from Martinez kept him out. Given Michael Keane a point, he was more of an attacking threat in that game than any of our forward line were combined. He had a few really good headers. He got into good space. A few times that we switched off a bit defensively, he was actually there to capitalise a lot. On another day, he would have scored 1 or 2 goals. But if it wasn't for Martinez, so fair play, Michael Keane. Even James Garner, 2 points. I think being out of position at right back, I don't know why they let that Patterson lad go out on loan, but Garner's filled in really well for them so far this season. A very underrated player this season. Obviously, all the plaudits are on your Grealishes, your Ndiaye's, your Dewsbury Halls, but Garner puts in a really solid shift every week for Everton, and he did in the game against Villa too. No surprise really at all. Grealish is that man for Everton. He's that guy. At the moment, he's their most important player. I think because the attacking options they've got, they would still click without him, but he's just a class above, and he just marshals the game going forward for Everton so effectively, and it's just great to watch him playing like this again. I shouldn't have spoke about Bogard in the starting lineup bit. I was surprised to see him start, but I mean, he proved me wrong. He filled into the Kamara role really well, and it was a shining performance in a otherwise ocean of mediocrity that was Villa again today. So fair play Bogard. I wouldn't have started him personally because we do want to be starting McGinn, but I don't want to start him out wide. I want him to play in the middle or don't play. I'm happy to see him on the bench, but I would have been fine with a winger and Bogard in because Bogard played really well. But yeah, honestly, I don't know why McGinn playing out wide is a thing now. And fair play, I was pretty annoyed with his deadline day antics, but he showed us why he was number one. Martinez, what a performance it was from him. He made some really crucial saves. He was back to his best in that game. That's the Martinez that we needed at points last season, where he made a few silly mistakes, but if he actually is dedicated and he does want to stay and he's going to keep putting in these performances, I think he'll win us all back pretty quickly. Fulham 1, Leeds 0. This is a bit of an uninspiring game. The Villa 0-0 was it wasn't as flat as the Fulham game because of Everton really, but there wasn't a lot happening in the Fulham Leeds game until later on until Kevin came on for Fulham. And you know, I don't know what Goodmanson was doing for that goal, but honestly, if I was a Leeds fan, my head would have been on absolute Mars. It's like the one. I don't understand. The one thing you don't do in that situation is play the ball anywhere near the goal, let alone arrow, like bullet header it into your own top corner. It was a moment of madness from Goodmanson, but so it was a solid Leeds performance. I think it was like there was no one really that stand out going forward. They tried a new forward line, and you know, when you're giving Calvert-Lewin Premier League minutes in 2025, I don't know what you expect. You're not going to score goals. And defensively, they struggled a bit, which has been a bit of the case for them so far. But yeah, I mean, a point in this game would have been great for Leeds, and it just didn't come. Giving Anderson a point for Fulham. I mean, marking Dominic Calvert-Lewin out of a game isn't that difficult, but he did it, and you know, you got to do what you got to do. The defender, he kept the clean sheet, and he was the standout man for them in the back line. I've been a fan of Calvin Bassey. I think Anderson gets a lot of plaudits sometimes where Bassey shouldn't, but I think so far, to start the season, I think Anderson has been the best centre back there. I don't know what they fed Kevin before the game, but Jesus Christ Almighty, it's like the step up that there was from Fulham before Kevin to Fulham when Kevin came on. It is just different gravy. He was seriously like head and shoulders above anyone else in that game. It was so flat and uneventful and uninspiring until Kevin came on. He just completely revolutionised that, and he's a maverick player, and the good thing is he's not afraid to have a bit of fun and play football. Like, he'll get the ball, he'll take his man, and he had a speculative effort which nearly went in, but yeah, honestly, that's really a really good little player that Fulham got in their hands. And criticised their transfer window until deadline day when they got him over the door, but if he keeps these performances up, then the goals will come, the assists will come, and him alongside Iwobi, Smith Rowe and Muniz is going to be a dangerous little combination. Seeing Carl Darlow playing well in the Premier League is weird. He's always been a backup keeper, and he is actually for Leeds. He still is a backup to Perry, but fair play. He was seriously, like, he did all he could in that game to keep the score at 0-0. And if it wasn't for Goodmanson's heroics, then I think Darlow would be getting a few more praises from that game. But obviously they've lost, so it's difficult to heap praise on a keeper when you lose a game. But honestly, Darlow did everything that he could to keep that at 0-0. And you know, if I was Darlow, I'd be demanding a personal apology from Goodmanson. Tell you what, the boring games just don't stop coming. Newcastle won, Wolves 0. Newcastle's first win this season, and you know, it's positive signs. A win is a win. They had a lot of chances. They could have scored a few more if it wasn't for a little bit of lack of clinicality when Walter Marder wasn't the one taking the shot. Murphy isn't the guy that's going to keep them going forward. I wouldn't be playing Murphy that much if I could avoid it. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how much he gets going forward. Obviously, he's a great supporting player, but when he's the one in front of goal, I've never really been that confident in Murphy. And he missed a few good chances in that game, but you know, it is what it is. Newcastle got the win in the end, so you can't really complain. Giving Pope a point when he needed to step in and save, he did, and you know, it's testament to him that amongst all the criticism that Newcastle fans themselves have had and people have had around him, he's kept his head up, and it's a World Cup year, so he needs to be putting in these performances to at least put himself ahead of Ramsdale as maybe England's second choice, or pushing on, knocking on the door for first choice keeper. Well, I was quite critical of Murphy in front of goal, but you know, as a supporting player, I do really like him, and in that game he was great as that supporting player, but I do think he needs that little edge in front of goal. He seems sometimes at points scared to take a shot, and I've given him 2 points, so he has played well, and I'm not trying to take away from that, but it would concern me if I was Eddie Howe seeing Murphy in front of goal the way he is sometimes, because I just wouldn't have that much faith in him. I'd be telling him, even if he had an open goal, to pass the ball. So he played well. I won't take away from that, but you know, if you are Jacob Murphy, you've got to think, look, sometimes you've got to be clinical, or you've got to be a bit brave and take the shot, because he's a strange player like that. He's a really strange player that I don't think a few years ago, if you told me Jacob Murphy was playing at Champions League level for Newcastle, I'd have been surprised, very surprised. And he isn't first choice, I understand that, and he fit in well. It's a testament to the depth Newcastle have, but that doesn't mean I don't think he should be free from criticism. And Walter Marder gets the 3 points. This guy can really, in a quick time frame, launch himself into Newcastle stardom. If he performs and keeps scoring goals, then the angry Geordies will transfer every ounce of love they once had for Isak straight onto Walter Marder, and he's a type of player that will command that. I like that. That's quite cool. But anyway, as a tall player with decent on the ball abilities, I think he could be someone who captivates for Newcastle this season, and the fans will really get behind. I ain't giving Wolves a 3-pointer. I just don't think they deserved it, as has been the case a lot this season. They just haven't. They've lacked the edge up front. I don't know why Strand Larsson's not been playing. I don't know if he's injured or because of talk late on, but they lack the clinical cutting edge that Larsson provided last season. So the few chances that they had just didn't end up anywhere. And Johnston, literally the mirror performance to Pope. I think everything that I said about Pope, you can say about Johnston. Just that Johnston isn't going to get caught up, I don't think. But, you know, if you keep on performing, Ramsdale's on the bench. Your three keepers could feasibly be Pickford, Pope, Johnston. So, you know, if he keeps on playing well and he keeps on motoring, then who's to say he doesn't get called up as third choice? Rodrigo Gomez was front and centre for a lot of what Wolves had in the game, and I think he's had a decent little start to the season. I've quite liked. I don't know if he started the last game he played or he made a cameo, but he came on and he was pretty influential and pretty dangerous in that game. It's the same in this one. Just again, the cutting edge, the clinicality. I said it about Murphy, I'll say it about Gomez. He could have won Wolves more points this season. Last game, he in front of goal he scored, but he missed a really good chance to win or get points for Wolves later on. And in this game, he was really, really positive and he's really positive and quite a threat for Wolves, but just that clinicality just needs to be there. West Ham Spurs now, and it's back to same old for West Ham. Obviously Spurs are a great little team at the moment. Frank got them seriously firing, so it wasn't going to be an easy game. I didn't expect West Ham to win, but Jesus Christ, being a West Ham fan must be the most miserable experience out of any fan base in the league, because they've gone from this European challenging, big signing team to just woefully average. They just don't. They're in a bowl of a stadium with no atmosphere, and they have to leave after 75 minutes because they're just getting molested every week. The only person that I thought deserved a point in that game was Crescencio Somerville. I don't think we got to see the best of him last season, but it was a really nice little performance in there today from him. I think he was the only kind of dynamic, fast moving attacking player that was actually bringing something to the table for West Ham in that game. His 4 carries were really good, and it didn't come to anything, which is what it is, but there's positive signs there for Somerville. I think giving Xavi Simons a point is really good for an expensive signing and a high profile player just to hit the ground running. And Xavi Simons has been talked about all window. Is he going to Chelsea? Is he going here? Is he going there? And Spurs, they would have been sad to lose out on Eze, but the fact that they've got Simmons in instead, I think is you can't really complain. As a Spurs fan, he's a really good little player. We haven't seen the best of him yet. I think he got his assist, which is great. I think there is more from him. From me personally, I wanted to see him have a little bit more influence on the game overall. But when he did get the ball, I think what he did with it was great. I think he just needs to get on the ball a little bit more for me personally. I think Spurs need to see him for the world-class attacking outlet he can be. Obviously, they've got Kudus to the side as well, who's a fantastic little player. So it's a really good problem to have. Really, do I give the ball to Simmons or Kudus? But that's my only mild criticism that I have of him, and it is overall really solid. 2 points for Pap Sarr. His turnaround at Spurs has been honestly generational. Went from being just a pretty average and Ndombele-esque player to, one of the first names on the team sheet every week for Spurs, and he got a goal in that game, which, he just like to pop up with a goal here and there. Sarr does. Just keeping on with the good performances, so fair play to him. And the 3 points gone to Bergvall. Last season, we didn't get to see the best of Bergvall. Spurs were pretty poor last season as it was, and he didn't really get the game time, I don't think, to showcase himself. But if he keeps putting performances like this, I think Frank he'll be forced to put him in the team, because he's a really promising young player, and I really like Bergvall, and he got a goal, got an assist, so you can't really complain. A really good performance from him. Spurs can iron out just those few poor results, like they did against, like the 1-0 loss against Bournemouth at home as well. If they can start to minimise those kind of Spursy results, and mate, that's a Champions League challenging team that you've got on your hands there. I really, really like what Frank's doing at the moment, and their players are just firing on all cylinders. It's great to watch, honestly. Brentford 2, Chelsea 2, and mate, they're grinding out these points. This is a really good point for Brentford. Chelsea at home, it was looking close. It was gonna be a L for Brentford, and then mate, long throw-ins are so back, and it's great limbs for Brentford, honestly, for the fans in a really uncertain time for them. Not consistent performances. They don't know what's going to happen. They've got a new inexperienced manager, so a result like that will really give, I think, the fans and the players a bit of a confidence booster going forward. Giving Hendo a point, and honestly, what a ball it was to Schade for that goal, and he's got a point for that alone. I mean, it's just an incredible pass, and as much as we don't want to see it, he's probably going to get called up to the World Cup squad, because just having that voice of reason in the dressing room will be so impactful. And yeah, fair play, well done Henderson, great assist, and he's got a point. Fabio Carvalho's got a 2 for me. This is a guy that untapped potential, really is the word. He came on for, I think it was 4 minutes. I think Andrews just kind of chucked him on, and he went on and scored, so that kind of impact you can't deny. And fair play, the guy's just not been able to get consistent game time, and it's been underwhelming so far at Brentford. But if he's provided the fans and the gaffer with a moment they won't forget, so maybe this is his pathway into getting more game time now. And the 3 points gone to Kevin Schade. Really, really solid performance, really well taken goal, and just all round caused Chelsea a lot of problems in that game, and exposed a few, defensive concerns that Chelsea fans might have, that maybe they haven't strengthened enough in the defensive role. Maybe they focused way too much on the forward line. I've given Bob Sanchez a point for Chelsea. I play in goal myself, and I'm not going to pretend to have this otherworldly expertise on goalkeepers, but I've never rated Robert Sanchez, even when he was at Brighton. But it's the kind of performance, and he's been good to start the season, Sanchez has. So maybe if he's putting these kind of performances, he can change the opinion of it. And I can happily put my hands up and say when I'm wrong. And I can admit he was really good in this game. Obviously, conceding 2 goals isn't ideal, but he couldn't do anything about either of them. Shade's goal was a deflection, and a late goal. Garnacho's away with the fairies. It's point blank. You don't expect the keeper to save those. If it did, it would have been miraculous. But yeah, a really solid performance from Sanchez. He's started to iron out the mistakes, and his distribution is slowly improving, which are 2 of the main issues I had with him. But yeah, fair play. Sanchez he's getting there. He's getting there, and if he keeps putting the performances in, Chelsea won't have to worry about getting a goalkeeper like I thought they would be. I thought they would be compromised in this transfer window that's just gone by the fact that they didn't get a goalkeeper. But Sanchez keeps putting the performances in, and they won't need one. Giving Cole the 2 points. His first open play goal in the Premier League for 9 months. He could have had a baby in that time, and he's just come off the injury, and everything good when he came through Parma. He was really it was a retro Parma performance. It was a 23-24 Parma showing, that was, and it was the Parma before he started to hit his bad form. So well done to the lad. That goal, I think, will do him the world of good. It's a flashback performance also to the Club World Cup, and how he ran the show for Chelsea there. So if this Palmer's back, then Chelsea are going to be forced to be reckoned with, honestly. Honestly, he might just be the best player in the league. Caicedo, week in, week out, is solid, and then he puts in a fantastic performance like he did against Brentford. What a goal! Honestly, what a goal! It's 2 goals in 2 now for Caicedo. I think it was against West Ham, and actually might not be 2 and 3 at the very least against West Ham and now Brentford. And it was an important goal at the time. It looked like the winner, but it secured them a point in the end. It's just genuinely, I cannot stop. I can't underestimate how highly I rate Caicedo. He's consistently Chelsea's best player on the pitch every single week, and yeah, he's very deserving of the 3 points. It is time to go. It is time to get Amorim gone. Admit that the project was a failure and start again. I don't know who they bring in. Maybe drag Poch out of the American wilderness, but he needs to seriously sort it out, or he's going to be sacked very quickly. And if honestly, I don't think I see a way back for him. I see why they want to let him have the time to build the project. I understand that Ferguson wasn't amazing when he came in as well, but Amorim's had a worse record than Gary Neville, which has been put around a lot on social media. And if your manager is actually worse than Gary Neville at Valencia, then something's gone seriously wrong. Foden seems to be back to his best. I don't know where he went last season. He was poor, consistently poor last season, but a goal in the derby is something for a Manchester lad that you'll never forget. And amongst all the signings that they've made, if Foden can keep playing like that, then he will be, like he was 2 seasons ago, the first name on Pep's team sheet. I really like this performance from Doku. I'm very critical of Doku. I think he is exciting, yes, but holds onto the ball for too long and his end product isn't good enough, in my opinion. However, really, really good showing in that game. I think he got assists on the board, and he was a danger every time he got on the ball, which I understand against Man United at the moment isn't the hardest thing to do in the world. But mate, a really good performance from him, and I was pretty happy with how he played, all things considered. And sound the alarm bells, it's player of the week. Erling Haaland, 2 goals, could have had a hat-trick. That open goal was fairly weird. The way he's kind of falling backwards, he's really off balance, and he hit the post somehow. But 2 goals in the game, just constantly giving United problems. Whenever he got on the ball, he looked like he was going to do something, and he did. It was a good Haaland performance, and yeah, there's nothing more else to say about it. Player of the week, fair play, well done, Erling. This Mbeumo point is almost a pity point. He should have scored. You can't get away from that. But he was the only United player getting in those dangerous places, in the positions to score. He was the only one in the forward play for United that looked like he could cause City some problems. But ultimately, he wasn't clinical enough. Should have got on a goal sheet once, or maybe even twice. But on another day he'd score. He wouldn't have won the game either way, I don't think, if he did score. But it's positive signs for Mbeumo personally, not for United overall though. Fair play to Burnley, dragging out that game to the end and conceding based off a poor mistake you can only be proud of that performance from Burnley, really. And if I was Scott Parker, I would be very happy with how they showed up. People can criticise them all they want, but that's how they're going to have to play against teams like Liverpool, and it was executed very well right until the end, where Hannibal, it's unfortunate, but you got to be more careful in that situation, and that's costing the game in the end. Again, Dubravka on the sheet for me. He's really been solid. He's been so consistent to start this season. He's probably been Burnley's best player, I think, and he's just grinding out these points on this measure, and fair play. I mean, I thought he would be a decent sign. I don't think he'd be anything special, but he's actually shown to be a really solid purchase for Burnley. Fair play to them, that's a really good bit of business. And in this game he was solid. Obviously the penalty's the penalty. Salah's a well-known prolific penalty taker, so I didn't expect him to save it, but outside of that was dominant in his box, made the saves where he needed to, and nearly ground them out the point. I'll give an Uncle Kyle 2 points. I think from what I saw, he was Liverpool had quite a lot of the ball out wide, and he actually dealt with the threat quite a lot. think Walker put in a solid performance against obviously old rivals for the title, and it's the kind of thing you want from him personally, because a lot of these players, you think to your Rio Ferdinands back at QPR, Walker could have been that, but I think this was a really, really decent performance against vastly senior opposition. So fair play to Kyle, well done to him. And Hjalmar Ekdal gets the 3 points for me. If Burnley kept a clean sheet, there would have been a lot more praise on his name. I looked on Footbin before I started recording. He only got a 6.9 rating, which I thought was really unfair. Burnley defensively were really outstanding, and I think he was the linchpin in that game for Burnley at the back. I haven't given Liverpool a 3-point player, and I refuse to put Salah on this list after his performance. He was not good, I'll be honest. I did not rate Salah in that game. I did not rate Salah at all this season in terms of performances, but obviously he got the goal, the penalty, but you'd expect the penalty to be put away, and I'm not gonna. I couldn't sit here in good conscience and say Salah's had a good performance, to be honest. And I've gone Andy Robertson with the 1 point. Awful performance from Kirkes again. Thought it was on the up after, the last game, but no. Hooked after 35 is a massive statement. Slot just couldn't wait to get him off the pitch, and Robertson came on. Going forward was really solid, nearly scored actually. And, defensively, he didn't have anything to worry about. You're not going to against Burnley. But I thought he really influenced the game and changed the game quite a lot on that left flank for Liverpool when he came on. And the 2 points for me, the last point scorer of the weekend is Ekitike. I like Ekitike a lot. He's in that kind of Firmino-esque role. He drops deep and links the play between the defence and the attack a lot. What should be happening is he should be allowing Salah to make the inverted runs. I think that would get the most out of Salah. I'll get Salah on the ball a lot and allow Ekitike to facilitate the play a little bit. But that doesn't seem to be happening. He's dropping deep anyway, but I still think it really works. Creates a lot of space in behind. He gets on the ball, and he often his knowledge of when to drop deep and when to act as the number 9, I think, is really, really good. He seems to know the role that he's playing very well. And obviously he didn't get his goal, but you're not going to score every weekend. Obviously you'd want to score against Burnley, but it happens to the best of the teams. And the best teams, their best strikers, like Haaland doesn't score every week, so I wouldn't expect Ekitike to either. But yeah, I mean, really, really decent performance from Ekitike once again. And that is all for this week. As you can see, there's a lot of names now in this 1 point list and 2 point list. You can start to see Semenyo, Grealish, Caicedo, Ekitike, Pedro, Matoma, Haaland are all the players that really have started the season with a bang. These lot in the 6, 7, 8, 9 points are the best players for their teams at the moment. And then you start to get players like Rose, Dubravka, Gravenberch, Gahey, who have gone a bit under the radar. Minter, especially as well this season, who have a little bit under the radar but still perform well. And then you kind of one-off players like Ungamoa is in here somewhere. I don't expect him to move up too much. You've got Tielemans, who probably will at some point, but with how we've been playing, maybe not. Odegaard. You expect these players to progress eventually, but yeah, this is a big, long 1 point list, and yeah, this is how it's looking. Haaland, game week 4, player of the week as well. So that's all. That's all for this week. Again, sorry about the voice. I'm pretty bunged up, kind of ill. I don't know where I've got it from. I'm always ill, it seems, but what can you do? Anyway, have a good one, boys. Let me know if I got anything wrong, and thank you very much again. See ya.